Hey, look everyone. Alice is back. Hey Alice, today we got Michael Carter and we got Neif as well. Um, it's been a minute since we had you on the show. How you been, man?
I've been really well, surprisingly, considering the state of the world and everything. I don't want to come across as being inconsiderate or insincere, but I will say that I've had a pretty good year, at least internally. Right. I was doing a lot of shows and staying busy. Definitely a social person, and I've been able to do a lot of internalized growing and soul searching and all of those good things. So I don't hate 2020 as much as everyone else has, but I would say I wish I wish a lot of it hadn't happened, of course.
Yeah, it's one of those like character building things where it's like it
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
use it to make it like a learning experience.
I definitely like trying to
Find that silver
control.
lining. Yeah. I'm sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, you're
I think
good.
that's keeping it positive. So hey,
Yeah, keeping it positive and also like limiting how you feel to the realm of what you can control, right? And so with a lot of things like COVID, like mandates, like political things, it's you know I can do like little bits here and there to protect me and like the people that I love, but it's largely out of my control. So I'm not trying to hunt people down or like chastise them for how they're living or do things like that. I don't feel like that does a lot of good in the grander scheme of things.
Well, hopefully things can start gearing up again in 2021. You were just telling me that Young Robot has a show, a live stream, February
Yeah,
6th. Is that right?
yes, yeah, that is correct. We'll be live streaming with our friends at the Dark Lounge, which is
Yes. Yeah.
it's a cool Twitch channel in Gainesboro, Tennessee.
Fuck yeah. Shout
We
out to Dark Lounge.
yeah, my I'm pretty sure their Instagram handle is also at the Dark Lounge, or at least if you search Dark Lounge, they'll be one of the first things that comes up. Yeah, I did a live stream with the Americana rock band that I play with, Big Jets Big Rigs, back in July, and that was a really positive experience. So I booked a live stream with Young Robot to coincide with the single coming out mid-February, complete release date pending, and that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be the first thing. We haven't played a show in a year, which is a very bizarre statement.
Yeah, I know. Why
are you
don't we?
guys on the Dark Lounge? You guys going out to their studio, or you guys are they? I know that they did some, or they did some connections where people would just stream in. I guess
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of. I know some bands that went out there, and I heard it was really a cool spot. They're really
oh,
doing some cool stuff out there.
it's incredible. I think it's really important for bands to do, especially right now. They're providing a pretty quality service because
Yeah,
they film everything on like a 4K GoPro, and the entire set is recorded audio wise separately too. So not only do they live stream it from their site, but the bands get to keep that. And I don't know, like having
sick.
yeah, exactly, that's content like for your own
That's sick.
promotional purposes, and it's also it's healthy to like look and critique a live performance any day of the week, regardless of whether or not it's the only way you can
I
show
saw
them off during the
Hey,
time of
well,
Corona.
Wooden
well,
went out there to Dark
right.
Lounge what over Christmas? What was it? Was that Halloween? Do you remember, Neef?
Um,
Our buddies in Wooden.
um, yeah, I think that was one of the last shows they did. I remember they played out there. I knew some DJ that played, but I wasn't out there. And then I know some metal bands, but
I
yeah,
think
they
it was
did.
over Christmas because Scufflemus had that. He was about cheeses.
Oh yeah, that was wild.
That
Yeah,
was great.
that was
Yeah,
really a cool. I remember
they have a
seeing.
cool shindig out there. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's I was actually trying to hit them up about trying to get my latest project together to go out and check it out because so we'll
It's
have to
worth
shoot
it.
the
I
link
think
over.
everyone should they're really easy to work with, really easy to book with. And for the love of God, if you can't play a show, go play a live stream. Do
Well, hey,
something. Do it for
Yeah,
you.
shout out
yeah.
to the Dark Lounge then. Keep it
Stay
rocking.
productive and adapt to a new environment.
It's the
Yeah,
only way to survive.
yeah. So, um, I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but I have some tarot cards in my hand. I'm just kind of flipping through them, you know.
Let's dive in. I don't do a whole lot of let's see. I like to just kind of pull a card and see if there's something I need to know. I haven't done a lot of singular question asking, except for others in quite a long time. Maybe pull one and just see what the vibe of this whole session is going to be like.
So
see if you get a feel for it.
Yeah, and while I'm doing that, so I think maybe I'm not sure exactly how everyone else looks at it, but the way I perceive, the way I guess I internalize it, I view the fool, like the archetype of the fool. Let's see if I can find him. That's number 0. And what is a greater fool than a baby? A baby is thrown into the world knowing nothing, screaming, freaking out at the universe, and has no concept, So to me, that perfectly conceptualizes the Fool Arcana. And he's in here somewhere. He's eluding me.
He's nervous. He's shy. Yeah. He knows you're reaching out. I kind of vibe with that concept. I would say that in a sense, babies might also know more than us.
Okay.
Because we have paradigms kind of shoved down our throat, and it's kind of, once your childhood dissipates and you start kind of trying to figure out how to integrate into the world, that's when your depression kicks in. That's when all of those feelings of isolation and angst and loneliness really kind of peak. So
IQ goes down. They say your IQ just goes down from the minute you're born.
Yeah, it's
that's interesting. So it's not gaining more knowledge. It's more like you gain conditioning, and your knowledge is replaced with conditioning.
That's a cool
said that card. As we get older, intelligence breaks down and leaves the byproduct called wisdom.
So moving on, we have magician, which is number 1. And to me, the magician conceptualizes man or woman, just adult. Okay. So So the fool becomes the magician, or sometimes it's conceptualized as just human. Sometimes it's conceptualized as alchemist, depending on the flair of the artist. So,
right.
So it could be, what the idea is, the one who has authority and interacts with their surroundings, has agency over their body and sort of is aware that they can interact with the world,
Yeah.
An adult. Yeah. A constructed adult, I guess. And then
hopefully.
Then we have all these other major arcana, and we have all the lesser arcana. But then the final arcana is the world. And that's number, there we go. The world. And that's number 21.
Are all tarot sets got the same amount of, supposedly supposed to have the same amount of cards?
Yes, good question, Neif. Good question, Neif. So if it is following the tarot format of all the minor arcana and all the major arcana, and that's it strictly, then that is a tarot deck. If it is other cards or something edited, like it's not following that format, but it's some other kind of scrying utensil, it's called an oracle deck.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this stuff I know, I don't think I've ever learned or known anybody that's known anything.
There's one of my friends, Charlie, has what's called a creativity deck, and it has absolutely no tarot cards, but it has a bunch of individualized art pieces that are, again, meant to stimulate creativity. Like, you can come up with whatever number of cards you want to draw and then see which ones you're drawn to and then look up their definitions. There's tons of decks out there that have pretty much their own complete isolated energy and are meant to do different things. There's one oracle deck I like called the Amenti Oracle deck, which is done by, I think her name is Jennifer Sundini. She's a cool Instagram follow and pretty cool, heady, spiritual discusser, channeler too. I think she does channelings and talks about that.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So the way I view it is you have all these other cards as these are, okay, so if you have the Fool, and you have the magician, and that's the gap between, let's say, adolescence and adulthood.
Okay.
Coming of age story.
Mm-hmm.
All the other major arcana represent obstacles in your path to conquering the world. So
Okay.
in between you, the magician, and the world, which is the primordial goal, I view this more as, okay, so let's get a little more heady. All right.
So when you, out of curiosity, real quick, when you say the world, are we looking at like a linear timeline? Are we looking at like maybe the construction of a goal to reach a state of the ideal self?
You were a step ahead of me. That's what I was just about to get into.
Okay. My B though.
So let's see here. Where is it? Okay. Shoot,
You keep disappearing into your long hallway.
I'm sorry. Just follow my voice.
I can hear you.
Okay. There's so many.
Well.
Okay, here we go. I got it. All right, so 20 is, let me grab 21. So 21 is the final one, the world. Mm-hmm. And right before 21, the last, God damn it.
Is it judgment? Is that what 20 is? Yeah.
You got to hold it in front of you so that it won't block out. If you just,
Well, then I can't see if it's in frame or not.
It is. That's fine.
Just trust us. We've got your back. We wouldn't lie to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right before the world is judgment. So I conceptualize this as this is Anubis with his scales. You've conquered your life. You lived your life the way you did. And now here's judgment. Now, judgment is Anubis with his scales. And I conceptualize this literally like an afterlife thing. But so you have light and dark, and like, he's weighing your heart against a feather. And then you get exactly what your reward is. You get exactly what it is you deserve. And that is the world.
Okay.
So all the other things, all the other cards in between, those are aspects of your journey.
Okay. So when you do readings, is that the exact method of interpretation you're drawing from, or is that just kind of like how you like to view the deck and its potential messages at like a base level?
The latter, like at a base level.
Okay.
Obviously, like if I'm scrying and I pull a card, it's less about the card and more about what I glean from that card. If that
100.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally, at least in my limited tarot experience based on readings given to me and the few readings I've done for others, I feel like normally what it is just some kind of innate reflection of something that is known, but not necessarily on the forefront of your knowledge.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that.
It should never be this huge like revelatory thing. There should be like some level of resonance. And again, the key players in that are going to be the intuition of the person doing the reading and the intuition of the person asking for the reading. What you got there?
I just thought this one was cool. This is, let's see, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 of Pentacles.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that one was cool.
It always seemed to me to be very similar to what I had learned years and years ago about, what little I learned years ago about rune casting, which when we had Jesse on, I don't think he got a whole lot into
shout out to Jesse Stillwagon for Midterm Musings.
And they and it was a real similar kind of thing, like you're saying. It wasn't so much like the hype of what a lot of people would think is, you see in movies and what have you, somebody will pull out the tarot cards and the guy's always pulling the death card and he's freaking out going, oh,
Yeah.
And then people would, I knew enough, or at least been told enough by people that it was, like you're saying, an oracle. It was like the I Ching or something, it's not all encompassing. You're going to find out, if you're going to be rich or if you're going to die tomorrow. What you're going to find, what you're doing is contemplating on a thought, and it's like a method of meditation, if you will.
Yes,
it almost be looked at like
that sounds exactly right.
Right. So it's almost like you could take it as mystically as you wanted,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you take meditation as mystically as you want too, you know.
That's yeah. Okay, so let's get
So
into chaos now because that's
then,
what we're
well,
talking
right,
about.
because you're getting into
Yeah.
if you're able, like with meditation, and you know, take it to Jeet Kune Do, you know, it's all about controlling yourself, being able to control every aspect, every muscle, everything in your body. Then that's what it seems like, you're controlling your world. And it's like you're saying with the world card. That's what your world is your world. So yeah,
Like when
that's
someone, if someone believes in God, you know, up in the sky, you know, a cloud god, man in the clouds,
Sky Daddy.
sky, sky. Okay, can we call this episode Sky Daddy? Yes.
Gladly. But that's a secret plug. That's the new electronic band I've started that we haven't released music with. So that was there was multiple levels to that, but
nice.
Wait, is that a real thing?
no, it's 100% real.
Oh,
Like
Wow.
we're like 2 songs deep, and we've got artwork, and we're
Yeah.
recording here in a couple
Wow.
weekends.
So I've got all kind of stuff to listen to now.
Is it okay if I call this one Sky Daddy?
Yeah, please go
Cool.
for it.
Shout out to Sky Daddy. Well,
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that. You definitely got to
Yeah.
showcase.
Oh
that
yeah, it's
sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds epic. Okay, I forgot what I was talking about because that was just so awesome.
I think we just hold right into the chaos. Why I just, you know, got into, I guess, my connection I was having here with, you know, what you were saying about it being the world, and it's your world, and the usage of, you know, meditation as a control of yourself, so you're controlling your world. So you could take it as mystical as you wanted, saying these cards are an outside force, or you could say it's a meditation on a problem and the cards are helping me think my way through it. And then you said that's the, you know, that's the chaos magic theory. And yeah, I mean, it's verbalism in your head, you know, to yourself, almost like self alchemy, or human out, you know, physical alchemy or metaphysical
Yeah.
alchemy.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, what I was saying is, so if whether you believe in a Sky Daddy or not, like,
Right.
okay, like so if you conceptualize a Sky Daddy that controls everything, that's actually in my mind that's true enough. That's true. It's not true.
Something has to be holding it all together. It might be us, it might be some external force, or it could be both, which is normally what I get to in my own personal practices and beliefs.
Yeah. I guess what I mean is if you believe it, then it's true enough. So like if they're convinced that that's what's going on, like really convinced, like, you know, borderline psychotic. Like if you can convince yourself of a delusion, I think that's enough. And
To me in like its own in its own way, I kind of think that might be what different schools of magic, be them chaos or not, are, right?
yeah,
Metaphysical programming, like doing something externally that convinces your internal self that it will yield a result.
Right.
And you know that kind of pairs with the law of attraction too. Like there's enough evidence there to show that somehow internal belief can shape and change the external world, and however much you want to believe that will affect your direct reality. You know, I'm not going to be able to sit and meditate on my house no longer being here and just wake up and it's gone, but I can think and want and know things are coming and be prepared to receive them when they do eventually come.
right. Yeah. That's a good way outlook on it. So the way what was I gonna say?
We were talking about chaos. Were we going
Yeah,
to
I was gonna say something about chaos.
that's chaos.
Oh,
Chaos
it has
took chaos away.
so chaotic, right? So, yeah. So the way I look at it is like to me, it's more of like a scientific approach where instead of starting with a hypothesis of Sky Daddy or like a theory for how the universe is working, and starting with that notion for some reason, it more starts at the other end of it. Like, okay, you are a magician, you can communicate with spirits in a multitude of ways, or let's not even make that assumption. You have certain abilities, and can scry and things like that. What does that mean? Well, we start from there, It's like, well, we don't really know what that means. All we really know is that we can do this. And it's like, if you're looking at it and it like just trying to take it from that end of it and not the other end of it, it's like you more just kind of bypass all the theory and concepts of how the universe works, and more just treat it like a program or a game, I guess. Maybe that's just the way I conceptualize it. But
yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, because like we can theorize and come up with different potential explanations for things, and we can read books and we can be extremely knowledgeable. But like, for instance, I can know every single chord and every single note possibility that can take me to and from each chord. You know, I can be very, very well versed in music theory, but until I like actually sit down and try and write a song with that, my understanding of that is limited. Like there's a huge variance in like practical knowledge and like the implementation of that knowledge. And I feel like that principle is especially potent in, you know, things like magic, meditation, tarot, any of that, because it anything esoteric, like the moment you actually insert yourself into it and feel what some of it feels like, there's no real words, you know.
Right.
I can't tell you why when I did my first reading I had 2 lines of possibilities and I told the other person to pick one and not tell me what it was and some like what each path was, and so I gave the reading without any kind of bias, and yet somehow we still wound up at the same place. Like, there's what there's no logical reason that should have happened, but it did, and you could feel it happening while it was happening.
Bringing up, you're just bringing up about music theory, right? And you know, which is interesting because being a musician that actually knows theory, I know a lot of, and don't get me wrong, great musicians, great players that they don't know a lick of music, you know.
Right.
And I mean, living in Music City, I've done sessions and I don't know the Nashville numbering system because I know music, you know, but it did me no good. You know, I'd have to figure out the key and just, you know, it wasn't hard for me, but it kind of tripped them out because, you know, they'd be like, well, we have it charted. And I'd say, well, what key is it in? You know, and they'd be like, well, it's, you know, I think it's, you know, and they'd hand me a chart and it'd be the number. And I'd be like, just play it, you know?
Yeah. Okay,
and,
let me do it
because
by
I knew
ear.
it,
You know?
yeah, you know, and I just find it, and I mean, a lot of stuff was so, you know, just mainstream and whatever. It's not, it you know, wasn't difficult, but like what you're saying with the idea of, and Alex and I have often discussed this, you know, when we talk about the different types of magic and word magic. I brought it to him, you know, my belief that word is the low form, you know, numbers are a mid form, but music,
words are
sound is a high form.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you're saying, you don't, I suffered from understanding music theory and being a musician and being a poet, and I wasn't a songwriter. You know what I mean? And you probably know exactly what I'm saying because you know, you write music and you understand theory and you write songs for a band. And you understand it's almost an unlearning. You know, fortunately I had a songwriter that I was really close to. She taught me so much about it, and one of the best things she said was just shut up and fucking play 2 chords and sing something, man. You know, and I didn't really, you know, I thought I was into jamming, but I didn't really understand what jamming was because, you know,
that's something else. I
yeah,
think jamming something else entirely.
yeah,
And I
you
think
get
like
in.
how different those two things are is fascinating.
So yes, exactly. So like when the times, like, oh my God, that show you played in my basement with Koala Tea Party.
Never forget 2016.
So like, okay, so here's the thing. I was so fucked up that night. I don't remember that. I don't remember that night as well as I remember the night before, when you guys were practicing. And I'd seen you guys, you know, practice before, but like there's something I love, something I love so much about live music is the jam aspect of it, because like
Mhm.
there's something like Devin can do it, you can do it, and I know a handful of other people that are really good at this, where they just kind of lock eyes for a minute and they communicate like telepathically and on the spot develop the sound, and it's like they just develop it right there, and it's like they're communicating with each other, and it's like, ah, yeah, there's like a nod of recognition, almost like, yes, we're on the same page about this. And like,
You
I'm
like
not a musician,
immediately
so that
you
like gives me a
yeah.
window into that, and that's like, that is like, it's so profound to see something like that. It really is. Like, to watch something like that organically created in front of you is very, it's not, it's an individual experience, and it's also like that specific thing will not be created again in that way.
Yeah, that's a large reason of why I do what I do. That's kind of the tiger I'm chasing. Is that to me, there's no better experience or feeling than the moments when that does happen. If it's with one person, cool. If it's with a full band, it's even more magical. But just like being able to kind of tap into that big well of the cosmic hive mind and just not only agree on something, but agree on something, construct on something, and build it to a point and ride it out without saying a single word, without any verb, sometimes not even nods, and just like being able to exist in the same sonic space and, just live in the moment the most you possibly can. Because again, you're not going to be able to recreate it exactly. You can like, I can remember what I was playing and hope that some of the other people remember what they were playing, but trying to recreate the moment is almost a pale imitation. It's
Yeah.
not going to be as good as it was.
Yeah, you kind of just gotta, you can't try to recreate the same thing. You just gotta know what you know and play from heart.
Right.
Yeah, and again,
Do what you
set it.
did to create the first thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and,
and that's kind of where I was going a second ago with the idea of knowing music, and it's not even having to know theory, but you have to kind of know the rules to be able to break them. You
mm-hmm,
know, I mean, you can say jam, and I've had people, yeah, let's jam, and they just hop in and go wherever they're going, and it's not
mm-hmm,
with everybody, and they're like, we're jamming, but when it's like you're saying, and then there's that connection, you do it differently with other people. Great bands that you stick with have that connection, and
mm-hmm.
there's nothing more than that. When I play with certain people, especially drummers, as a guitar player, when I'm playing with drummers, there's such a playoff there. um if I lock in with a drummer, I mean, it's almost like there's nothing you can't do. It's like you're
You
just,
put a ring on that, you're done.
yeah,
That's it.
right.
I really like two pieces. Like, we've talked about 68. I know you're also a big fan.
Yep.
Dude, 68 is my favorite two piece. They're so good.
I still haven't gotten to see them live, and that pains me. When they opened for Fall of Troy a few years ago, the people I wanted to go with wanted to pregame too hard, and I swear to God, we walked in right as they were doing their final jam, and
Oh,
I was so angry. I tried to let it go and enjoy the rest of the show, but
did you see Fall of Troy?
I mean, yeah, dude, I've seen
Oh
them.
my fucking god, I love Fall of Troy. I've never seen them though.
I've seen them like 3 or 4 times, and I got lucky enough to like befriend Thomas like for just like a hot second and take him to the airport and do like one like night out on the town round of binge drinking with
That's
him.
what's
That's
up.
something that like I wish I could go back in time and tell 16-year-old me, because like that's one of those like random chaotic universal moments. Like, oh my god, this is happening, dude. This is like really happening.
That's so fucking cool. I've never seen Fall of Troy. That's funny because I've never seen Fall of Troy, but I have seen 68.
Yeah. Hopefully we can trade each other off whenever we all get our vaccinated Live Nation passports.
Yeah.
And can go to shows again.
So speaking of shows, we had Joseph Page on last month.
That's my boy. I do love me some Vladipus 9. Yes, sir. Shout out and love.
So to give everyone at home some context, Carter played with Wrong Eagle, well, still does, but played a show with Wrong Eagle at Springwater, followed by Vladipus, and then after that was Daikaiju,
The mighty Daikaiju.
Mighty Daikaiju.
Oh, so mighty.
I unfortunately in my dad life missed that, but
It's
hey,
I can never spread the word about what Daikaiju did to Springwater enough, you know. I mean that whole
yeah.
night was magical, just magical. Like not just Daikaiju, everyone that night was just on top of it.
That was one of those things where, like, as soon as I was asked to do that, I was like, oh, this is it, baby. This is it. I was shout out and love to Jesse Baker, who does the booking for Springwater, because that would not have happened without him. And that was probably one of the best shows I've ever played, which I've been lucky, like in 2019. And honestly, up until March of 2020, like they kept getting better. Like all the Wrong Eagle shows were just like right on the money in terms of like good turnout, good bills. Just like it was going good. And then the rug of the world was pulled out. But we've still been recording. We've got a lot of stuff cooked up. A lot of releases coming next year.
Fuck yeah!
Good call on Jesse. I know Jesse. He's done up until he did as much as he could, but he did do wonders, especially being a local in this town. I mean, he picked up a booking torch. I think he picked up several booking torches. You know what I mean? And just he started bringing so many shows in and just kept things happening.
Dude, the very definition of a hometown hero. Like I
always said
a lot of
with so many bookers. I mean, I ran sound at clubs and ran clubs and what have you, and dealing with booking people. Sometimes they're not always up to par as what I want to call booking people, but I've always said he's definitely a pro about what he did.
And he loves it, and like more than anything else, there's
he did it for the love of it.
Bothers me more than someone that's like done it a long time and like super duper jaded, but like that's not Jesse. Like for someone with as much history as he has, he's still just as fresh as a daisy, dude, just trying to do the best he can. And I love that about him for sure.
We got to get him on for the music history, the underground history. That's another person I got to put on the list.
So announcement, wee woo, well, I shouldn't say we, because I haven't really contributed, but Neif's been putting together, we have a special little treat for you guys coming up pretty soon. We're throwing together a bunch of people to discuss the history of music in Nashville.
The underground, the music city underground in Nashville, as far as
get a bunch of old heads to talk about how everything's changed.
I know cats older than me, to my age, to younger than me, to younger than them, to some of the teenage kids that are doing punk now, and it's a fascinating. It's something I've wanted to do. I've wanted to do something similar for years.
How far back should we go, like Woody Guthrie?
Well, I'm going to actually try to push as far back as I can. I mean, I'm going to get some of the oldest heads I can get. And I'm talking about underground, I'm talking about punk, that's where it started. A lot of the punk and alternative,
natives banging sticks together,
like, probably
in
late
native
70s, late 70s, maybe even some of the, I don't know how far back into the rockabilly cats I can dig, but I don't know. I think it's probably going to start around the late 70s. That's about as far back,
Absolutely
so
beautiful.
all the way up till now.
I'm excited for that one. It's not really what I'm just for that. I'm just going to be sitting back with some popcorn.
It's going to be it's a task for me to put this together, because it's a lot of people I've got to get together, and it's something that I've really got to clear a lot of common ground, especially right now. I mean, there's people that I'll have on there that might not even necessarily want to be talking to me, but it's not even about that. That's what
for the greater good. Surely they'll do it for the greater good.
That's really what I'm about. It's about doing the thing, getting the knowledge out.
So that'll be fun.
I feel like that's really important for a city like this, because like myself included, like transplant, like I think I just hit 7 years. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
More than most, but still,
Hey.
like, again, part of that, like, just people continually coming here. You know, I can count on maybe one hand how many people I know that are like born and raised here.
Yeah, right. I'm not even born here. I was raised here, but I'm still not even born here. You know,
That still counts. Still counts. You know,
I'm pushing about 40 years here, but no, I wasn't born. Yeah, so
age is just a number.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised like an hour away. I don't
So
know. That doesn't count, I guess.
So you're a local. I didn't even know that. I was thinking you were still out of state.
Oh no.
No, so you're one of our Music City's own, man. Well, rock and roll.
Repping Fayettetown, Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Oh, you're out in the Faye.
Wait, you're from Fayetteville?
Yeah. No. He is.
Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. The high school I went to in Alabama, Hazel Green High School, is like maybe 30 minutes south. Yeah.
My mom.
Are you from Alabama?
Yeah, I was born in Chattanooga, just because that made sense for some reason. But I was like I grew up in like Northeast Alabama and like Henniger, Sand Mountain area. Middle school through high school in Huntsville, and then college in Florence, and then moved up here afterwards.
Yeah, that's funny because I was born in Huntsville, Alabama, for some reason.
I'm a Mobile boy.
So you're talking about that Hazel Green High School. Funny story. My mom. Do you ever hear of a program called Identikid?
Like the band from Atlanta?
Was that a band?
Yes, it is, and they're really good. Plug right now.
Hold on a second. I gotta find this because
they have a clarinet player. I'm not making this up.
Okay, well, my mom had a business called Identikid. Okay. And it wasn't her business, but she had what would you call that? She had a license to work with them and like sell their product, I guess.
What was the band?
Identikit. They spell it.
Oh, Identikit. Okay.
Yeah, like KIT.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I was saying kid with a D, but that's so simple. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah. Same, spelled exactly the same way, but with a D instead of a T at the end.
Important information.
And basically, what they would do is go into like middle schools and like elementary schools, and you could get, as a parent, if the school decided to run their program, then as parents you could opt in to have your child made a little, like, basically looked like a driver's license, like it had their thumbprint and all the information on it.
Yeah.
And you make a couple of them, like you keep one in your wallet and you have one on your kid and stuff. That way, if they're ever lost or whatever, anyway, they have some kind of identification.
That's kind of smart. I get that. I can see how that would be handy.
Yeah. So, but she did all the schools around like Alabama and Tennessee, and I helped her with a bunch of stuff. So I definitely punched in a lot of people's information, like a lot of kids' information, from Hazel Green School. I wonder if did you ever do that? That program?
No, I remember it being advertised, but I don't think I ever did it, and I have no idea why.
I gotcha. I just thought it'd be funny. It's like I might have done your ID card or something.
No, my parents wanted to keep me off the grid as much as possible. They trying to avoid the microchips.
That's really smart, actually. Yeah. Good parents.
I'm making that up. I don't think I don't know why I got one or didn't get one.
You had me convinced you were living under a cave until you were 8.
No, dude, I grew up with some normies. I love my family, but I grew up with some normies.
Okay. That band, is that a French band?
No, they're from Atlanta.
Because I just pulled it up.
French.
There might be a French identikit. I'm not trying to start.
IDENTAKIT. I got a performance of them on WSB, one of the live session in a studio session, and it's a violin player, a clarinet player doing jazz. The little clip I listened to is pretty sick.
Oh no, they're incredible. Chapter. Back in the before times when shows were a thing, Me and Jesse Peck and my other friend Camden Perez, we have a booking agency called Chapter Booking, and we brought them once, maybe twice, to Springwater. And each time it was like it's just a hell of a good show, dude.
Okay, all right. Well, the clip I had, one of the guys it sounded like that's what he was singing in was French. So I mean, it doesn't mean he's French, but he might have just known some French. So I'm just trying to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. But you said, I mean, I see, it's full jazz, stand up bass,
Cool.
saxophone, clarinet. This is just a clip I listened to. I just dove right into it, and all right.
They're a real treat. I promise you, you will be rewarded for whatever time you choose to give them.
So, you let me borrow a book.
I did many moons ago, like
a year and a half
back when you lived at your old place. I'm pretty sure I gave it to you in were you in Manchester or Winchester, Tennessee?
Winchester.
Okay.
Yeah. So so a year and a half later I finally finished it. I'll bring it to you sometime.
Oh no, you're good, because I've still got books of yours, dude. I have your Rituals of Thelema book like right next to me.
Nice.
Yeah,
we can trade off or do another book exchange or something. Start a book club.
I've got plenty. They need to be read. While I don't read them yet, I've got a alarmingly long book reading list.
Same. Yeah, my problem is like I don't like to. I vastly prefer to read fantasy. It almost takes it takes an effort for me to read nonfiction, even if I find it interesting.
I have become the opposite lately, because of my quest to optimize my standard of living and become better to every extent that I can. And this is a weird thing that I need to get over. This is not how someone should think or feel about this. But like, if I'm just ingesting something that is literally just like a made up story content wise and not like considered a classic for all intents and purposes, it almost feels like I'm like bulldozing through a show on Netflix or like just watching something on YouTube for the sake of watching it. I've been really anal about picking books that I think are going to make me grow or do things, and I keep trying to fall back in love with fiction and fantasy, but it's a
Have you read The Alchemist? Have you read The Alchemist? Paulo Coelho? Oh man. So I highly recommend that. It's a really short book. I think I have a copy. I'll bring it to you sometime.
Okay.
It's like man, if you would just take a minute to read it, because it's like it'll take you 2 or 3 hours. It's pretty short.
Cool. I'm almost done with my current reading, and in need of. I've been reading The Perennial Philosophy by Aldous.
Oh man, I just finished Doors to Perception.
I'll trade you. You want to go Huxley for Huxley?
I had Doors to Perception on Audible.
Okay, never mind. But Perennial Philosophy. Well, you can still borrow it. I'm not saying you can't borrow it.
But, trade, bro.
No, real books only. But no, it's incredible. It's just his look at Hinduism, Zen Buddhism, Taoism, and some parts of Christian mysticism that I was unaware of because they're hidden from us. That just talk, looking at where a lot of these religions meet on finding quote unquote common ground, and what the most basic form of a spiritual quest for a human being could be considered in what we're trying to achieve and search for.
Do you have Audible?
No, surprisingly. For some reason, like audiobooks have not become a thing for me yet, as much as I listen to podcasts.
I will send you my account information.
Listen. You can find a lot of old text on LibriVox. You can get LibriVox if it's public domain, and there's a lot of old text.
Hear me out. It doesn't affect me at all, and I have like fucking 10 people on my account already.
Dude, just put it out there for the world, man. Just share it.
Don't listen to this.
Information should be free.
Don't hear me, Audible. But I have like 100 books on there already.
Okay.
And if you get your own Audible account, Doors. This isn't an Audible plug. We're not sponsored by Audible, but
Obviously, if you're offering your damn login.
if you sign up for Audible, Doors to Perception by Aldous Huxley is one of their it's included. You can just download it. It's free.
Sign up today with code Rhetoric for 20% off.
Also brought to you by Sunkissed. Taste the orange.
As it disappears into the hallway.
Into my belly.
Get in my belly.
You didn't hear me do that, Audible. Anyway.
It's too late.
You guys know the Audible CEOs are anxiously waiting the next Rhetoric Rabbit Hole episode. And they're just, as soon as it airs, they're going to be like, those motherfuckers. Like Alex is sharing his account.
Oh yeah, they're already sending us emails, cease and desist orders right now.
Yeah, we haven't even put this up yet. I'm already.
You're gonna get pulled off Facebook, and we're gonna have to go to Parler. That is the only logical next step.
Oh shit! But they're gone too. Amazon just kicked them off. So we're gonna have to go on like our own web. I'm gonna have to start building drones to float constantly in the sky to connect to one another and just make my own internet.
What if you pulled Death Grips and like released exclusively on the dark web or the deep web? Like the only way
I didn't know they did that.
Is what they didn't do that with their music. That was with No Love Deep Web. Like they leaked it on the deep web before it came out.
That's awesome.
And that is why the album cover is Zach Hill's erect penis with No Love Deep Web written on it, because it was a giant fuck you to their label.
I fucking love Death Grips.
They're so important.
Don't mess with my expression.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, god damn it. You fucking everything else, don't mess with my expression.
Oh yeah. So you let me borrow True Hallucinations by Terrence McKenna. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Terrence McKenna and his brother Dennis McKenna were botanists or biologists. What?
I'm pretty sure
pharmacologists. There we go.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember because I didn't brush up on this like I said I would, unfortunately. But I'm pretty sure one of them was in the throes of actually, I'm pretty sure it was Terrence, since he's older. He was just kind of doing his own thing. And Dennis was still in school, or maybe in between school. He was like, what, 17, 19, somewhere in there? Like, he was super duper young when this happened, I thought.
Yeah, they were both young. I think they were in their mid-20s. He might have been 19 or something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, Terrence had been in Thailand for a while. And then he'd gone back to Berkeley, I think. And then him and Dennis, I think their mother had just passed away or something, and they decided to go out to La Chorrera, which is where? South America?
It is in the Amazon, I believe.
Okay.
Potentially, hold on. I'm bringing up the internet because my own brain doesn't fucking work enough.
Are we talking about reference back some for me?
La Chorrera, Panama, city of Panama. Is that right?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Or who are you talking about? Went to the Amazon.
The McKenna brothers, Dennis and Terrence. That's the beginning of the book.
They're like the Mario brothers. Like they have the same amount of mushrooms.
They're not. Did they go to the Oaxaca? Is that the ones that went to Oaxaca, Mexico?
No, I don't.
Oaxaca in Mexico is where one of the scientists went, I think, to discover mushrooms. To discover the mushrooms that grew there that were DMT based.
DMT mushrooms?
I think they were just really heavy psilocybin, but they were mixing them. I don't know, but he went down there, and that's when in the 60s, when a lot of psychedelic types of activities were happening, and people were really trying to, in the pharmaceutical world and the mental health world, were really trying to discover shit, and the government wasn't on top of grabbing everything and going, no, that's illegal, you know. Before the Controlled Substance Act, if you will, you had a lot of scientists trying, and that's where a lot of these things, that's why we even know about a lot of this stuff in this country, because, you know, we most of the native culture got wiped out, so we didn't learn about that through them. I mean, you know, we'd learned about it through the science that leaked out that, you know, before they could catch it. Same with LSD, you know. So, but anyway, I'm
This was
digressing. I'm thinking that's who y'all were talking about.
This was in the 70s. They went to
Right.
All right.
They went out to Panama in the Amazon, and there's a place. I think they'd heard about it somehow. They'd heard. Let me think. They'd heard about natives using something ritualistically, I believe, and they went to investigate. You think I'm on the right track here?
Is that was it the inhaled tree bark?
No.
That Death Clock made the joke on that with the Yopo man, but and that's
it
an
was
actual
mushrooms.
That was an actual thing, was an inhaled thing. You see that shit on old Novas and stuff when I was.
Do you remember how
they were searching for ukui? It's
okay.
it was
Ukui, yeah.
different than ayahuasca.
Right.
But it was also another concoction that came from, I believe, like a specific type of root or tree bark.
Yeah.
But essentially they were going to a super La Trierra. They're going to La Trierra to search for that in particular.
Okay.
And it's like it's kind of an off the beaten path ruin. Like, it's not like you can fly into a city and just go hang out there. They had to go down, you know, take the boat into the jungle, walk on the trail, do the whole 9 yards. And so that's kind of the whole background for this book is them essentially lost, well, not lost, but just like completely isolated from civilization in this ruin ripped straight out of, you know, 1400s Amazonian Aztec culture, just like still kind of holding on to what it has.
And around it, everywhere in the fields, are cow patties with mushrooms. And I think that was a happenstance. Did they just stumble upon that, or
no? Like literally the first, like, I want to say chapter or 5 pages is Terrence talking about walking along a jungle trail, and then he eats a mushroom, and it kicks in a little bit harder than he expected, because these are Amazonians. These are like the real deal, and so that kind of twists the whole nature of what's going on, because they go down there searching for the ukui, or however you say it, and it ends up becoming, you know, this giant head trip of an adventure of them exploring the the pathways that the mind can go through when exposed to high amounts of psilocybin and DMT.
Yeah. So,
or ayahuasca rather.
Right. And at some point, Dennis took a MAO inhibitor, and
did they know they were taking it? Did they have like a chemical one, or did they just use a root that they knew?
I don't remember.
Because I know
they were preparing it. They were preparing it pretty traditionally.
Yeah, they're pretty hippie guys.
Because that was the amazing thing that I always found with a lot of the cultures that would do that, where, you know, you would understand if they found a mushroom or something that would make them trip, that they'd be like, oh, okay, this is what this is. But how would they have discovered? Because, you know, they don't know it's an MAO inhibitor. They're not
right. Like the discovery.
How would they discover that this root, if they
like how did they know to make ayahuasca the first time?
It's gonna make it active and last 12 fucking hours, you know.
Right. Well, on the subject of
really
ayahuasca,
amazing. It's amazing idea.
Terrence starts talking about his research about ayahuasca, where shamans report that they have this layer of sediment on their skin. Do you remember this, Carter?
Loosely. Keep going. Take me there.
Terrence talks about how maybe this might have been the okuhe. This might not have been the ayahuasca. But whenever the shamans took it, they reported that there were documented cases, written down of shamans taking it and it being like this layer of film on their skin, like they secrete it, and then they're able to take it off and mold it into shapes. And I guess I don't understand this very well, but my
This
understanding
book is really dense. I feel like we sound like we don't know what we're talking about, but I would like to rest assured. I
It's
would
a
like the
lot.
good people of the internet to rest assured that this is a very dense book that covers. Terrence McKenna is hard to break into. You almost
Yeah.
have to use alchemy to derive anything from what he says.
Right.
You have to transform it into something that makes sense to you.
He's such a poetic guy too.
Yeah, I've heard that he's way better to like quote. Like you're like you can take it. You can.
We lost your audio, Neif.
I've heard that it's a lot like that with him. You can get a lot more of like a quote. If you take one of his like really good quotes, you can be like, oh, okay. But if you really take too many of them in, you start kind of going, all right, what
If you overdose on McKenna, you were lost.
There's no coming back.
There's
no coming back.
If you dive too deep, we'll never see you again.
Right. Yeah.
The rabbit hole with no
Dude, you really need to quit reading that McKenna every day, man. Just
bro,
like
just please pick up the Alan Watts book again.
Yeah,
dude, your wife is worried about you, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Stop listening to McKenna all the time.
No more than once a week, man. Sunday mornings, that's good. After that, like my boy said, daily Watts is cool, electric Kool-Aid test, shit like that. No problem, man.
I'm sorry, man. I just want to learn about the aliens.
I swear to God, if I hear about elves one more time.
But the elves, they show you these things and they say do what we are doing. So okay. Anyway, so at some point, Dennis took an MAO inhibitor and that interacted with the large amounts of psilocybin they were taking over a several month period. They just pretty much stayed dosed for months at a time, or not months at a time.
It's like they were at a festival, but they were surrounded by science and nature instead of music.
Yeah,
they were doing drugs in a field, but it was a
right.
And at a certain point, once they settled into where they were staying, their little nest,
it was a field and a field of study.
Oh,
that's clever. Yeah, let's rename it the field of study.
Sky Daddy, see also the field of study.
Sky Daddy and the field of study.
That's a good one.
There you go.
I would click on that.
Maybe that's what y'all should name y'all the EP release right there.
I'm gonna run it by the other two for sure.
Y'all can have it. I just
you'll get 10%. I'm gonna make it 10% of the 0.0005 cent Spotify gives
us.
Right.
So it very quickly, once they'd settled in, it very quickly became a very ethereal spiritual thing. And Dennis and Terrence and some of the members of their party were convinced they were on the edge of understanding, and they were on
everything.
Yeah, they were on the cusp, which if you've ever done psychedelics before, relatable, but to a very extreme degree, because these were intelligent guys that just blasted their brains out, and they're trying to decipher the universe here. And they call it the experiments of La Chorrera, because they were conducting experiments of mind, right? And what they documented there is really interesting, really, really interesting, because Terrence reports that Dennis was communicating with him telepathically, where Terrence would think something and Dennis would say it aloud. And he was able to do this for multiple members of the party. He did this many, many times over the course of the months that they were there. And Dennis didn't come out of it nearly as quickly as everyone else did. The effects of the mushrooms wore off for everyone else, but Terrence believes it's because he took the inhibitor, but the drugs seemed to stay in his system for much, much longer, for weeks. So
he was pretty much on a whole other level for this and for the entirety of this.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of the pusher and the main exciter for this. And I think it's also worth noting that Terrence and like maybe a couple of the others were on board, but I'm pretty sure at least two of these people were super duper terrified, like to the point of like, oh, we lost Dennis. You know, that
Yeah.
that
That actually became a big point of contention in their party when
yeah.
someone in the party tried to tell Terrence, it's like, listen, man, your brother has had a schizophrenic break here. He's not okay. And
Yeah.
you're facilitating this. You're letting
Right.
his unhealthy behavior continue, and you're just totally fine with that. And Terrence basically had this ultimatum where he thought him and his brother were on the cusp of it. But here he is, this, this other person, this good intentioned individual is telling him that this is dangerous and that his brother is sick. And so he now, in the midst of a very deep psychedelic experience. So you can imagine how that weighs on you,
Oh no, that's not what you want to hear. You never want to hear the possibility of things not being good, because your brain becomes obsessive with that. Like that is trip sitting 101.
Your brother is sick and in danger, and it's your fault, basically, at the height of a mushroom trip.
Like that is the opposite of a vibe check. That's like a vibe, like pull the rug out,
So that became a big point of contention in their party, where they wanted to get Dennis help, and some people wanted to stay, and eventually I think they talked Terrence into, the drugs wore off, and they got out of there. But so I mean, there was a happy ending. Dennis McKenna went on to have a very very great career.
He is a well respected member of the community, and he and Paul Stamets are just out there spreading the gospel of the mushroom, like, and not just like psychedelic mushrooms, but like how mushrooms in general can be used. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, the shit they got into there was really crazy. I
was just peeking through, and the the thing that caught my mind the most, and probably the most vivid part of it, is them in the throes of psychedelic wonder and the quote unquote translinguistic fluid that they come into contact with. Do you remember that?
That's what I'm talking about. It was it a mushroom thing? That was the Akuhe film I was describing earlier.
Okay, this from what I remember, it was the right amount of mixture of the mushroom with the bit of DMT they had, maybe the inhibitor. There's a lot of chemicals at
this
a lot
of fucking
Amazonian camp. Yeah, but anyways, what Dennis got obsessed with was mixing sound mushrooms and dimethyltryptamine to literally form this like kind of plasma liquid that was thought to be some giant universal connective ether that they were somehow tapping into with the right amount of like chemicals, sound, verbiage, just literal alchemy, like the most far out psychedelic occult alchemy you could imagine happening.
Thought into matter, literally.
Yeah. Or thought out of matter, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, actually that's interesting. I'm glad you said that, because like, so it could be transmutation, not manifestation. It's just changing something. Changing the existing. Yeah. So yeah. So there was a resonation. He heard this frequency at the high dose of the psilocybin,
Mhm.
where it was just a high pitched note he could hear, and then he was able to mimic that. And is that what caused the transmutations? I believe so. I mean that's am I getting that right? Was that the step? Was he would vocalize
They
it?
yeah, no, they literally developed something. The letters are ESR. I'm trying to electron spin resonance.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they gave it to him. Yeah.
It's a deep dive. It's such a deep dive, and I'm just now remembering how deep of a dive it was.
Right. Yeah. I read it and I'm like, I remember a lot of it, and I'm like, damn, there was a lot of stuff that it's also so like the way he talks. It's very, very just like one sentence contains so much.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say he does a good job of like being super duper wordy, so that thoughts and concepts are communicated. But Terrence has this like level of assumption for the reader
Mm.
that the reader can like hold on and play ball, and like no one can play dialect wise ball with like Terrence McKenna like
Yeah.
that there will never be another, just because like the way that dude vibrated. And when I tell people about McKenna, the thing that like catches me to this day is just like the fragility you can hear in his voice, the like nervous high pitched like tick
Yeah.
that's kind of there, that just sounds like someone who's seen too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard multiple people say that actually.
he is always funny, he's always charismatic, he's always talking about it, but like there's this
that
there's this
tremble
level,
that tremble in his voice and
uh-huh.
that look in his eyes tells you a lot.
Yeah, it's like, oh you poor nervous baby, like there's nothing, we can't make it okay again for you, can we? Oh my god.
Yeah, you broke the world. You broke your world.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had friends take like experience DMT and tell me about it, and like they when in their experiences, like they didn't. So I would say almost universally when I've spoken to people about DMT, one of the things seems to be a feeling, this euphoric feeling of oneness, like we're all the same entity, or a collective consciousness, some sort of nirvana almost.
Which I feel like that's kind of like the peak well that you tap into no matter what you're doing, right? I like telling people that DMT is just like a faster ride to the same place.
Right.
In my experience.
That's true. You can definitely get to same or similar areas through meditation.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fascinating.
I think I can agree with that, because it's because like you're saying, there was a oneness, but it wasn't the same kind of oneness as the difference in say LSD or psilocybin, or even mescaline. Mescaline is a very, very euphoric thing. Whereas
that cactus
psilocybin,
energy.
I mean, and psilocybin's always so feverish. It's such an animal. I always call it the animal fever. It's so natural and really earthy to me. LSD always is so mental and just
the way I conceptualize it is mushrooms are organic and LSD is like cybernetic. It's like
right. It does. It definitely does have more of a cyberpunk feel to it.
Yeah.
Like you can turn it on and off. I don't take LSD. Doesn't. The last several times I took it, 20 years ago, it did. I'm not gonna say it didn't do anything, but it didn't. I didn't get that feeling anymore. I felt the drug, and I was almost bored. If you know what I mean. It was like, okay, the feeling I'm getting from this as a buzz isn't equating to enough of me getting from this for me to be just something. So it's never really been my interest after that.
Yeah, I feel like
it was such all emotions and everything at once. That was the oneness I felt there.
Yeah. Also, I would say a big difference for me. When it comes to acid, it's like I'll take like I would do one or two, for to have a good time, but it's not something where I'd push the limit on it. Where something like mushrooms, I'd be a lot more comfortable taking a large dose of it, and I don't know really why that is. I would be like that's something maybe it's because it's a mushroom, I don't know.
It's not some man-made super, well, which again, that can be argued that LSD was like man derived, but it was still meant to mimic the ergo fermentation that happens. So yeah, I'm not trying to misspeak on that. But
LSD, ergot.
It's also the same, ergot. It's also the same idea with DMT, because DMT, if you take it, it doesn't really do anything, and you have it in you, and everything has it in it, but unless you derive it,
right,
and then you add it, and that, so it's there is that.
There's definitely a lot of historians speculate with ergot that there were definitely like LSD-like effects and like hallucinogenics in ancient cultures, for sure.
They think people are going crazy. Go ahead.
Pythagoras was drinking some special juice. The mysteries of the Elysian mysteries. Is that it? Yeah. That I love that. I love the idea that we've been tripping as far back as we can remember.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Okay. So let's hop down that rabbit hole for a minute. That's deeply tied in religion, and that's been censored out of religion in recent years, like the last few hundred years. So all of these religions have psychedelic origins at the roots. All of them at their history, including Christianity, including Judaism. And then what happens is that what's being described is
there was a reason that the shaman was the only one that ate the mushrooms.
Right. So what's being described,
and everybody quit drinking as piss is the problem.
Is an access to God.
Reindeer piss.
What's being described in these texts is an access to God and the spiritual. And even in the text, it's coded in such a way that someone observing it from a very entry-level perspective can still glean something from it, like there are morals in it. But then there's also deeper things in it for the person who has the eye. So, if your eye is open, then you can look at it in a new perspective, let's say.
Right.
And another way of saying, if you have the prior coding, that like you know how to decipher it in a different way. So, so like, a real just throw out example, just obvious low hanging fruit would be the fruit in the Garden of Eden. That would be unintentional pun. I started saying that. I'm like, oh no, that works way too well.
Milk it, let it out, do it.
Yeah. So low hanging fruit in the Garden of Eden. There's definitely speculation that might have been some kind of psychedelic, right? And that seems to be a theme across a lot of these cultures. And what happens is, in mainstream organized religion, so I don't have a problem with a lot of the text in all these books, but I do have a problem with some of the text in these books. So some of the things are good.
You mean the ones that were picked out without anyone else's opinion, right?
Right.
These are not the words of God. We thought they were for a while,
until we took them out. Yeah.
That we decided that
we took them out and then we added in other shit.
Yeah, so, God, that's not what he wrote. We figured out that was, for some reason, that was wrong.
He actually wrote what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So
he's been calling me all day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I left out the part where the king. I forgot to add and the king and all that shit too. So
every morning in the morning, it's Yahweh. He's like, Pope Innocent II. Have you added in that it was a cross that Jesus died on? And he's like, I'm getting to it, dude. Fucking God.
And then he's like,
He's like,
"Where's my
"God
money,
damn it."
man? Get him to pay up. Where's our mountains of gold?
Yeah. Archangel T-poses down and he's like, "Where's my money, bitch?" And then
Are they like
have
paying
my
for their
money.
sins? Because I already paid for their sins, so they need to pay for their sins. That's
Pay
how
up.
this works.
Interest due, motherfucker. Let them know I need that VIG right now.
Fuck, what were you talking about?
St. Peter.
Psychedelics and religion being
yes.
being
Yeah.
overlooked and perhaps hidden.
Organized religion. They don't
Mhm.
want people to know about psychedelics because that's direct access to the spiritual. They want you to think you have to go through them. So
it is direct access to God without an entire organized community standing in front of you.
But they try to convince you need that community, and you have to have the preacher's insight, the medium, let's say. You have to have the medium's insight into the situation, when really all you have to do is look within yourself, and you don't need anything else.
That's what Buddha brought to the Vedics, because it had gotten corrupted, and they said, only the priest can reach enlightenment. And then that's how you control the people, because the priest and the minister of something. And then now you get into the state, and then,
I have a shitty thing when other people.
Same thing's a shaman. The shaman talks to the chief.
I don't think an enlightened person tells other people that they're not enlightened.
No, look, but I'm like more enlightened though. Like I'm helping you out. Like just like subscribe to my Patreon and I will take you there.
What you do is you say, well, you see, if I were to tell you I was enlightened, then I wouldn't be. Therefore, you must know that I am, because I'm not.
What?
So, and how you know I'm true? Because I will prophesize that people will come and tell you that I am false.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be haters.
When they do that, you'll know I've prophesized them. Obviously, I know.
Isn't that the biggest fucking shit?
Hit me on my Patreon.
Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Yeah, there will be haters in the comments, but this is a prophecy, and that's how you know I'm legit.
Exactly.
People are gonna say I'm full of shit, and that's how you know. That's how you know I'm real.
He's rapping bars. People say I'm full of shit. That's how you know I was legit.
Nice.
Oh man. Oh man.
Now that's you, Alex. Bars, man.
Have we entered the freestyle section of the podcast?
Yes, our traditional freestyle segment we have every episode.
The rap battle.
What was the line?
I gotta remember your lines now. I can't even remember my own.
What was your line?
I was spitting your line. That's what I told you. You said they're gonna say that I'm full of shit. That's how you know I'm legit. That's some rabbit hole dormouse bars right there, baby.
And the dormouse said, "Feed your head." Feed your head. Well,
spitting bars
all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Closing bars.
Have you guys actually read the it's the mushroom book, the Christianity mushroom book? I can't remember the full title of it, but I have
heard
a PDF
of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm not.
Okay, it's like essentially
Pharmacratic Inquisition.
The
Pharmacratic Inquisition?
No, this is one that's essentially hold on, let me look it up. But essentially, like, it takes the whole psychedelics being involved in religion a step further, and hints at Christianity, the entire basis of Christianity being like legitimately a mushroom sex cult, and like the act of worship is really supposed to be some like crazy psychedelic sex ritual, which would be cooler than normal church.
I'd definitely be showing up every Sunday.
Where's this church?
It's like I can make time. I'll put a few condoms in the offering. I could go
10% for that. All right, no problem.
Guys, if anyone out there has a psychedelic
a link to the local
church,
the local psychedelic Christian sex mushroom church,
the Sacred Mushroom and the Cross.
Oh yeah,
yes. Okay.
A study of nature and the origins of Christianity within the fertility cults of ancient Near East.
What a title!
Rock and roll.
Yeah, it really rolls off the tongue.
Near East? Well, we're in the East Side, so
I've heard of this. I
It's
haven't-
about us. It's probably in the
East
back.
Coast,
of
baby. There you go.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
I haven't read it, but I have heard
No,
of it.
I'm just interested in where these churches are now, or why they
Yeah.
got pushed out.
Guys,
'cause-
if you've got a church, a psychedelic sex church out there, just put a link down in the description below.
Yeah, comments, just throw them right in there. Shout out to all the Christian mushroom sex churches still in existence.
we know you're out there.
For the last time, we are not accepting applications from snake handling churches.
Nope.
Please
Hey,
stop sending them.
But mushroom sex cults all day.
All day. Hit me up, DM. Actually, probably don't drop it in the description because that's not a good idea. But definitely send me a link.
Otherwise, your mushroom sex cult is about to get Zuckerberged.
Yeah.
He's gonna come for you.
Uh-oh.
You don't want to get Zuck. Hey,
Don't
speaking of Zuck, speaking of motherfucking Zuck, motherfucker.
Go on.
No. I want him to hear me, Neif. I want him to hear
Okay,
me.
go.
Okay.
You listen here, you Zuck fuck.
You fucking Zuck cuck.
I've been getting here recently, past like few months. I've been getting the weirdest fucking ads.
How weird are they?
Now I will say my account got hacked like probably like half a year ago, so that might have something to do with it.
It was me the whole time.
I think it's Zuck. I think every time somebody gets hacked, it's actually Facebook hacking them.
It's my.
They've got too much control on their stuff to ever have me believe that they can let it ever be hacked.
Every time someone gets hacked, it's Mark Zuckerberg personally,
and I'm calling them out. That's y'all. Y'all are just doing it. Y'all got.
All day he just hacks people.
Y'all's technology is too good. I mean, there's Google. Don't tell me about no issues. Y'all's technology is too good. Y'all just peaked it. Sorry, I won't believe y'all. Y'all are just demigod status.
I got Wish. There was this advertisement for Wish. Okay, and you know what Wish is, right? I'm
all too familiar.
Yeah. So it was an ad for Wish. Okay, and I've got like they're like these weird little games. It's very reminiscent of like Spider-Man and Elsa kind of shit. They'll pop up every once in a while. There's one. It's a little cartoon game. Looks like it's for kids, but it's like, this man your husband cheated on you. Do you want to try and fix your marriage, or do you want to? And like it's like make the decisions, and it's like Decision World or something like that. And
that's the lamest game I've ever heard of.
So
stuff like that's the problem like is, I mean, is it multiple answers? Because my answer to that will probably not be on there.
And it's hilarious because the woman apparently like it's oh god, it's so horrible. It's one of these things that it's just designed to grab children because it's like colorful and pretty, but it's like just grab your attention thing, and it's nothing, but
how many stars would you give it out of 10? Did you finish it yet? Where's the full review?
Maybe I'll play it on the stream, like on the show, and like we'll do a full analysis.
Is it on the Steam store? Is it on sale?
Fuck. Anyway,
I'm logging in right now.
That's not the worst thing.
Man answers.
That's not the worst thing though. Then it started sending like there was one. Okay, it was like normal shit. First of all, there was like a MAGA ring, like a ring for MAGA. Like it was like $1. Like I guess so it's cheap plastic, and I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, yeah, you got to keep it at $1 so that they can sell the $5 MAGA butt plugs.
Yeah,
they're not going to sell themselves. Think about scale there.
You got to ease the butt hurt, with some Trump love.
If you order now, you'll get it before the inauguration.
And
we'll suspend your Twitter account. No extra charge.
But the one that really pissed me off is there were ones for like it said children's swimsuit, but it was like clearly just like a young girl wearing lingerie, and I'm like, this is not okay. And I immediately reported it, and I was like, what the fuck is this, Facebook? Why like, oh my God.
They're trying to peg you. You're a
Like,
free thinker.
It's one of those things that's like, how many other people did this get to? You know, how many creeps are gonna just click like go look at that, and then
No, that is pretty strange, because like that's something I hear about, you know, like virtually, like look at the, you know, like dude and truck videos, like look at this YouTube rabbit video rabbit hole I went down, like. But it's very interesting to like actually hear someone that I know and respect talking about like strange ad holes. That's
I'm like, I'm just browsing my feed, and then there's something like that, like some game that's obviously marketed to kids, but it's adult content, and that pisses me off. So I report that.
right.
Then the next day I get on, and they're just fucking selling children's lingerie on Wish, and it's just fucking in my face, just in my like fucking feed for me to like scroll through, and I'm like, fuck this shit.
How much do you know about the hack that happened on you, which was what you said it was a year and a half ago? So that's been a while, right?
This was like 6 or 8 months ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, you know, was it like someone legitimately stole your password, or was it like some outside bot thing?
Dude, I have no idea.
Okay. I would attribute it to that, maybe, because to me, in my mind and my limited knowledge of how the internet works, you know, maybe it was just some weird, strange bot run algorithm that just had its way with your page for a little bit, and there's no telling what type of cookies are attached to that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was just run of the mill for Facebook now.
No, because I've never seen anything like that, and I haven't seen Wish shit in like God knows how long.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you mention that,
I haven't bought
seen
anything
a lot of
on
Wish stuff.
I think I used Wish like once, like 3 years ago, when I lived at a different house.
I see the same Hulu crap or anything that I look up on a Google browser on whatever machine I'm using, or if I'm on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of people didn't really, you know, it's like the paranoia isn't incorrect, but it's a little overblown in the wrong places. Yes, Google does track the living shit out of you, but does it really matter? Well, honestly, when I'm buying stuff, yeah, I'll use it all day because I want ads of shit that I'm buying to come to me. I don't want to, like he's saying, see fucking kids lingerie. You know, I want to see if I'm talking to my buddy about such and such in the Google thing, we all know it's happening. We all know the damn phone's listening even you turn it the fuck off, because I talked to somebody about something and then I get on there, the first goddamn ad is what I was talking about. It's about being aware.
On top of all that, did you see what Netflix did a few months ago? They put out a movie called Cuties. And it's about children.
That was so fucked up.
So
that shit dropped their stock. That hurt so much.
I already know people are gonna say like that we're just being insensitive, but I don't give a fuck. I don't have any tolerance for sexualized children. That's not okay. Why is that being normalized?
Right. Well, that's what a lot of people argued and said, well, they were actually showing how bad it was. And I'm going, well, if you're showing how bad it was, you would not have been, they wouldn't have been on the front cover of it. You know what I'm saying? It would not.
It feels like somewhere in that.
Yeah, you would have made it dark looking. You would have made it, you know, you'd have put some creepazoid fucking dude on the front to make everybody go, "Oh God, this is freaky." I watched about this. You know, not like, "Wow, let me get the kids."
I watched a YouTuber discussing it. Like they'd watched it and they were doing a breakdown of it, and she said that it was marketed in such a way that it was about the struggles of it, but you know, like the dangers of that. But at the same time, there were close-ups of children's ass and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's really sending mixed signals. Like fuck you, like fuck you, Netflix, that you can just say, oh, we're not glorifying it, and then just do that.
Right. And then on top of that, you know, ban this and ban some other shit, and you know, it's really
I don't think it's a coincidence that they're trying to normalize all this shit when there's all this pedophilia stuff coming out in the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Like all these pedophile rings getting busted. Like there have been how many arrests? The FBI's arrested how many people for sex trafficking in the last
I have no idea.
3 years?
It's
100.
insanity.
There was a huge there were a couple of huge busts like a year or two ago where just hundreds of people got taken down, and it was, I don't remember the media talking about it much. It was really hush hush. There's probably people with big names.
Well, that and the idea of human trafficking and discussing it about the legalities or discussing it as a story is such a conflict of interest, even here, because you got to think about this. You don't hear anybody talk about sweatshops anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't hear people bitching about China and their sweatshops. People, as a matter of fact, get mad if you start dogging China. We were never supposed to do business with them in the first place, but
that's because Xi Jinping's PR has worked.
Right.
We are here.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about a censorship internet? I mean, we're getting there quick, but the Chinese internet is the Chinese internet. It's not, we think ours is being censored now. That's it's a taste.
It's not even there yet, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so you don't hear about sweatshops. So then you got the idea, there was an argument about that. And I used to even bring this up to people. I'm like, not to defend that, because that's corporate greed. And that's also a company that left probably our country because of taxes and went over there and opened up so they could get away with pollution more, paying less. And actually, it's usually not taxes, because a lot of those countries you're paying, the damn government owns half your damn business anyway. But
you just get away with wages, like it's like
you get
just
away with wages,
cost
right?
cutting in general.
They're like, well, we can dump the government this much money, but they'll let us pollute the shit and pay the people nothing. Cool.
Yeah.
We make way more money that way. And then, but the idea is, you go to a little village, 25 cents a day is a fortune to a dude who's a fisherman. So instead of fishing all day to maybe get food for the family, go to the market and trade some shit, you go up to this shop and sit here by a fan and just do all day. And it's not really as hard a work as going out and plowing a field, And so, but the fact is that they're making stuff that's being sold to us or other people for a higher dollar. And that's where we see the value, and then that's where you get to the argument of, capitalism versus socialism and yada yada. And it's, and it all boils down to an individual's ability to have compassion for humans, and whether or not somebody else is allowed to control their decision.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with that. And I think the dialogue on that is going to change in the next decade or two as we see everything automated anyways. So I feel like the notion of having to work for a living will hopefully start disappearing. And that's not necessarily me weighing capitalism or socialism hand in hand on that either. I feel like that's just like an honest look at like how the world works here coming soon.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree that if no one had to work, if no one had to work to survive, that would be a better world.
And the only reason we do it is because that is just like the template that we've all agreed to, and no one is given a choice on it, right? As soon as you start hinting at like either not wanting to do that or that being unfair, people are like, oh, well, you're just lazy. And it's like, no, I just, I think it's all arguments aside, I don't feel like we should pay a tax on living with our livelihood, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think we are too heavily taxed. And
40 hours a week.
That tax meaning time, like taxes is a whole other thing. Like I'm just literally saying we trade the cost of existence is most of our lives.
The time tax, the existence tax. But and I think I think if everyone could just get their basic needs, that obviously be a good thing. I think what comes into play is when it comes into an argument of implementing it, because it's like
there's no easy way to do it.
Right. Also, I think a lot of people, including myself, don't really think that's logistically sustainable today. maybe
But
as
yeah,
technology progresses in the future, but a lot of people are scared to move on to something else like that because at least what we're doing is functional to the
is
point
it
where,
though?
I mean, capitalism
not
is
the
the
problem.
best thing we've come up with so far. And I'm not saying that socialism has been tried and it's not exactly bad on paper, but just every time it's been implemented, unfortunately, it's failed. And
So what do you do when you have so like I like startup culture in that they have a philosophy of what's called pivoting, which is as soon as something is not working in a way that genuinely benefits the whole company, they're going to pivot as hard as that and as fast as they possibly can into something else, right? Yeah, and so again, I'm not saying that there
that's
is a
definitely not
social.
how. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna say that's definitely not how America works. Because
Yeah,
America is all
no.
Oh,
about
Jesus.
it's all
Yeah.
about making sure we don't make incorrect choices. So anytime you get something passed, it's very carefully examined before legislation goes through. At least
What,
in
here?
theory. In
Yeah,
theory.
it's supposed to be
Or
unless it's
we're
a 500-page bill that
Okay,
say
well, take
two
corruption out of
things.
it. I'm talking about how it should work.
Yeah, it's
You know,
supposed to work.
how it's supposed to work
just
is
remove the corruption. That's all it
there are
takes.
checks
Just
and
remove
Just
it real quick.
hold
Well,
on. I'm still
that's the
doing
whole
that.
idea of the two-party system is that there's checks and balances, so no one swings too far one way. It's supposed to keep itself regulated that way.
Right.
In theory, you know, it doesn't work that way, but it
No,
should. And
but
I get what
yeah.
you're saying too. But when you see a problem, pivot really hard. I would say the way that America is designed, in theory, is almost like the opposite though, where it's like instead of making changes when you see something wrong, it's like, well, we don't know what the implications of that change will be though. So we need to very carefully assess it and draw it out, take forever, and go through all these legal channels and do all this bullshit in order to make sure that it's what we actually need to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, instead of us literally getting to do that, we pay people to do that.
We pay people to sit on their
what
ass and pretend they're doing that.
Yeah, and then again, what they've done is like we've just like collected this giant pool of super duper rich people that this year has made it the most visible I think it's ever been to the rest of the world. We were legitimately the only quote unquote first world country to not offer any form of UBI or like stimulus to individuals. I mean, Australia showed us up. Canada showed us up. Like, we did not give our poor and needy any assistance this year.
Nope. But we handed
We did give
aid.
foreign aid, yeah.
We dumped
We
the
did give
same
other people
foreign
money.
aid out of here as we always do.
Mm-hmm.
We sent money
know.
overseas, but yeah.
And meanwhile, we're still running around talking about everybody fucking hates us. And it's kind of cold thought, but it's like, well, everybody fucking hates us. Why are we still handing them money?
Well, do they hate us or do they hate, because like that's I think it's funny when countries get generalized, right? Because the populations are so much larger than the ones that are making the decisions.
It's like, oh, what's a German person like? And a German person isn't like anything. They're human beings. A German is composed of human beings, so you're going to have vastly different opinions on things.
They might sound a little angrier, but they're not.
Well, what I'm speaking of is actually our self-projection that we've done, because what we've done successfully now in the past like 10 years is projected outward. Like, it's kind of weird. It's like we projected from inside what the rest of the world thinks of us back to our citizens. It was a method of control. I mean, it's just the same as showing people burning the American flag in some village and nobody understanding that had nothing to do with them hating us. That had to do with they're burning the flag they saw strapped to the arm of these soldiers that came and pretty much lit up their damn town, and you can't really, they don't understand what the hell's going on. All they know is, and everybody over here is going, well, they're blood of the blood. And it's like, these people were just living somewhere, probably had their own shit going on that they couldn't deal with. And next thing you know, even more shit happens,
But they had weapons of mass destruction.
Of course. But everybody forgot to mention that one of their rich ass leaders over there decided to not play ball with all the rest of the rich ass leaders.
Are you talking about Gaddafi?
I'm talking about all of them, but I'm glad you brought that up. That's
Okay.
that's impressive, sir.
Hey, I've dipped my toe in
Right.
the Ethereum pool many
It's
times.
absolutely, it's very impressive. Thank you for
I
giving me a little
know dirty money.
validation. Yeah, you understand how the oil trade works.
I'm familiar. I put it in my car quite
Yeah,
often.
right.
It works because I go and pay for it. That's how it works.
Yeah. I always study what I pay for. Always.
It's like how does big oil work? It's like, well, I get in my car, I go to a gas station, and I buy oil. That's how that works. That's why.
Big oil's built on trust.
Trust is also a economic term, ain't it? Now
Yeah.
let's get back into word magic.
Yeah.
Hey,
Trust is that
it
magic.
worked.
Hey, that's that
It-
magic in the trust, the fund, the federal trust.
Hmm.
It's a trust us, you're putting your faith into the dollar that is no longer on anything.
Yeah.
It's not gold. It's not metal. It's not a sacred metal anymore.
Trust us, guys. This definitely isn't money.
They trust us.
That's why I like crypto so much, because it's so
And the
silly,
government
kind
I
of.
don't know anything about crypto. Can we kind of just like, as such a layman, I'm not expecting you to be an expert on it or anything, but can you just like explain it to me just a little bit?
legal money washing.
No,
Okay.
for real. It's completely decentralized currency that is like connected based on everyone using it. Someone's going to hear this and be like, that's not right.
Yeah.
But to my loose understanding, it's just like pretty much completely decentralized ledger-based currency that just continually keeps track of where it is at all times without any kind of third party. Like, like if you want your money, you have to go through a bank. Otherwise, it has to be cash in your hand. Bitcoin exists. Still, there are third parties that you have to access Bitcoin through, but still, like whatever you do with the Bitcoin is like yours, not tracked, not insured either. Like if a bank goes under, your money is allegedly secured and will be returned to you. Bitcoin does not work that same way.
No FDIC.
Yeah, thank you. But again, like the fascinating thing about Bitcoin is just watching how much it goes up in value over time. Like this, was it maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, it was as low as like, 7 to 10,000 for a single Bitcoin. And now we're like continually bumping the roof on 40K. Like if nothing else, that's some like magical manifestation. I'm just going to hold on to this and hope it grows, and it does.
And what they did was they worked out the way it's kind of similar to the way banks build interest, and interest is like out of nothing. Interest is highly unconstitutional.
I'm holding your money, so I'm going to charge you for that money because that's what the service I offer is worth.
Well, it's a loan shark.
I'm gonna loan you.
It's a mafia loan shark, but it's government regulated.
Right. And instead of you just paying a VIG, you're going to percentile that out to me, but it's going to be so cranked in such this way that it's a continual thing.
Right.
And we can compound it. Whereas instead of just charging a flat fee for loaning somebody something, I'm going to loan you the money to grow grain. You give me a basket of grain when you're done. Instead, they're saying, well, we own the land too and all this other shit. So you're going to give us half the fucking grain every goddamn time you grow it. And if you fuck up and don't grow enough, then we're going to take you, and then it gets, it's that same. Well, with Bitcoin, you imagine somebody decides, you know what, let's not use the king's gold coins anymore. I'm going to use mine. Well, nobody recognizes those. The reason a coin is recognized is because the king has the alchemist that says this is real gold. So I'm going to stamp it. That's why currency existed. So we couldn't be fooled with, this is gold. Oh, okay. So it was state verified currency. It was that's why it's currency. It's current, also once again, nautical terms, current currency. It's another one.
Damn.
So you have your own currency. Well, it's not worth shit to anybody unless they believe it. Okay. You
Right.
get enough group of people to believe it, you got your own trade community. And like he's saying, in that area, that's why, well, you and I can make up a rabbit hole Bitcoin if we wanted.
You want to after this is over?
Yeah. And it might not be
Okay.
worth shit, but you know what? We get enough people trading that shit. The movement of it causes an interest track. And that's what he's talking about. And then you get bit miners that set up,
Get your Alice coins today.
yeah, you set up a bit mine, and that's all they're doing is anytime somebody does the trade, it's got to be happening. And the more it moves, like the market moves, movement generates money, trades generate money, interest
And
generates money.
it's starting to boom right now, to the point of where like actual like real corporations are dumping billions of dollars into acquiring Bitcoin, and that was not the case. Like that's kind of like a huge reason for the spike, because again, we were like at like 20, we were under 25K, you know, back in like September, and again now we're at 40K.
It got downplayed
about how it works. Do you guys know, is there like a set amount of Bitcoins? Is there like a finite amount?
I don't think, I think what it is actually there might I think what it is a value.
Otherwise, how would you know the value? Like if you have an unlimited amount, there's no way to establish that.
I am under the impression that there is a limited amount, but I do not know the science or reasoning.
Yeah, I would imagine like anything, it's supposed to have a,
because value is based on
right. But like, also, I know that they can be created, but I guess it has to do with like a stock. You know, I guess when the value gets to a certain level, if more are created, it lowers the value, just like inflation. You know, they print more money, or you know, it's not worth as much. So that in itself is another trade, because what happens is once that Bitcoin gets to, once your own gold coin gets enough circulation, you know, circles through the market, circulation comes to you and back to you, out and back, people recognize it, then it's got value. Now somebody takes that and trades it with somebody for the King's coin because they recognize it as the same. Now you've made it value and you've washed the money, and the government is pissed. Wow. That's how they worked that out. Bitcoin got to that level.
Side note, I think if we did start our own crypto, I would want for it to be called King's Coin. And just for some hard facts in this pool of speculation, there are 21 million Bitcoins, and that is it.
Wow.
And we as a planet have mined 18.5 million Bitcoin. So somewhere out there in the internet, there's 3 million Bitcoins waiting to go into my crypto wallet.
So you can buy those remaining Bitcoins from.
No, okay, so that's kind of like
that's
what you were talking
the mining.
About. Those are waiting to be mined.
How does that work?
That's when you get into the algorithm. That's when you get into the algorithm talks. I can probably find somebody to really blow our brains with it, but that's getting into.
All right, let's.
I know cats that have sat down and try to tell me about it. I'm like,
make you guys.
I'm cool. Can you set up the website and make me money?
Yeah. I didn't mean to derail this and talk about Bitcoin. So
I mean, it's
I mean,
it's interesting to me enough to
maybe sometime down the line
let some kids set me up, you know, to make me money. But it is kind of a.
Maybe sometime we'll do an episode all about it.
He was he's right. Mining Bitcoin is essentially like constantly calculating and watching ledgers of transactions go in order to make sure that Bitcoin isn't being spent twice. God, yeah, this shit's wild. I love it so much. It's so complex.
I've had people ask me.
Real.
I've had people ask me about designing them bit miners, and I tell them, I mean, I can do it, you know, but
dude, you can order new ones from China now for like $2,000.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, you know, it's a hobby project. I said, I'll do it. It's going to cost you, but
not only will it cost them like to pay you for it, but that shit's going to run their electric bill up. So
right. I mean, that's the thing is, they understand. I'm going to be ordering them a stack of GPUs to put in the damn closet and have to fucking cool that shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, well, you can probably turn your heat down a little bit this winter because that closet over there, just use your bedroom closet, crack the door.
It'll be on fire, so you'll be.
It'll be cooking.
In the dystopian future, I'm looking forward to children no longer gather around the fire for warmth and story time. We gather around the family Bitcoin mining unit.
Now, boy, come here.
You just
I'm gonna teach you about a GPU now.
You got the chimney full of GPUs.
Yeah.
Now, son, that damn GPU go out. It's gonna be up to you. Paul's getting a little too old now. You got to take on the family chore. GPU going down. You got to climb that tower, son.
Paul, why can't we mine altcoins? Why can't we mine altcoins? Boy, don't you like talk Jimmy Pueblo?
Don't you talk alt nonsense around here, son. We are bit. We are bit. You see that bit flag in the yard, son?
I hate Bitcoin, Dad. I hate it.
I'm going to buy Dogecoin.
Dogecoin.
No son of mine.
Oh, my
damn
God.
Kids.
Well, we have been through the hole and are back around and in it again. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we kind of close it out?
What's everyone's dreams been like lately?
Dreams?
Yeah.
Lately.
THC blackouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. I don't.
Okay.
I can't remember anything recently. I've got some weird. How about you?
I don't know. I think like this year, and I normally I don't dream. Like I've only been like really trying to pay attention this year, because one of the Chaos Magic books I read, I think it was the one you gave me. Did you give me Condensed Chaos or did you give me Liber Null?
I gave you.
You gave me Liber Null
and something else.
You gave me Liber Null and Rituals of Thelma. My other homie JC gave me Condensed Chaos. I'm pretty sure Liber Null had the section about lucid dreaming.
Yes.
And the thing I remember the most was the hand thing. And it was talking about how like the only way to actually start lucid dreaming, and somehow that was supposed to connect you to being able to manipulate your reality a little bit more. But the lucid dreaming trick is like looking at your hands.
You can't focus on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the one time I did that, for whatever reason, it was like, so I had a dream that I went back and visited my old high school band program, right? In Hazel Green, Alabama. And I was like current age and I was visiting and hanging out. And for whatever reason, there was like large scale, like marijuana distribution happening behind doors in the band room. Like I'm talking like pounds and pounds. And I'm seeing high school kids just like act like pretty much like a Mexican drug cartel. Like, and there's like M16s and like people pushing bricks around and just like, but being just stealthy enough so that no one notices. And I'm
in the band room.
And like my band director is,
during school hours?
Again, this was Dream World time, so I don't know. Like,
no, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get an image.
I have absolutely no comment about my time in high school on this story.
I'm
muting now.
It was dream time, daytime though, for sure. And anyways, I was like having to keep my cool and talk to my band director, and like I kept just like looking behind him and being like, that's not right. But I think I narked on them for some reason, because I don't know why. But anyways, at one point I was like, this is too strange. And I finally looked at my hands and then I woke up. So it works.
Oh, interesting dream.
Very interesting dream. But my point in that being, like, I feel like my dreams this year have been a little bit more vivid and have more commonly involved people that are in my life or people that I've been around. Like, there's not a lot of strange fictional characters as much anymore. Normally, not a whole lot of real world situations, but definitely like continuing characters coming in and out of my psyche that I've interacted with at least once in my life.
I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just stay away from don't turn state on the the band room cartel.
Yeah, no, I would like
That's
to
dream
announce here.
logic. That's the only way that made sense.
You know,
I would
that would
like
never
to
have
announce-
happened.
I would like to announce here that if you are selling drugs in any high school band rooms, you're safe. I'm not going to narc on you. I don't necessarily encourage that.
Right.
But
No
I'm
condoning
not,
of that here, but you
Yeah,
know,
no.
Not in an official capacity do I endorse that. But
it's not our place
definitely not
to
against
cover what
No.
happens in schools.
yeah.
Not our responsibility.
Well, gentlemen, it's been real. This has been
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, man. Yeah. If you want to see what Michael Carter's got going on, you are in so many bands. I don't know if I'm going to be able to list them all, but I'm going to try.
I believe in you.
I'll
Wrong
jump down in
Eagle,
the comments and start listing the shit.
Wrong Eagle, Young Robot, Hollywood Horses, and the one a bit. What was the one you told me earlier?
The one that we announced live.
Oh no, not that one. Not Sky Daddy.
Oh,
Daddy.
That's where it's for. And then there was Big
Jed's Big Rigs.
Big Jed's Big Rigs.
Big Jed's
Mhm.
So
Big Rigs.
you're a busy man with many hats, and I love to see that you're staying busy and doing stuff, man. I'm not only are you like, do I consider you like a good friend, but I'm also a big fan of yours. So it's really cool to see you. It's really cool to see you putting out content. You know.
That means a lot. It's the only way I know how to live, for sure. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on. This is a good time. I've been really enjoying watching this grow and become like
Thanks.
what it is. I think all the new additions are dope. And yeah, I can't wait to see more, and I can't wait to be back whenever that may be.
Hell yeah, man. We'll have you on again soon.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's been real.
Awesome.
We'll see
Yeah.
you guys next time. Have a good night, Alice.